So hello and welcome back to the very first video of the Postman tutorial series. So from this video onwards, we will be starting our new series of Postman, wherein we'll be learning what is Postman, what is its features, and we will build some projects on it, and we will test our APIs as well for that project. Okay. So before getting into the project building part, we first need to understand what is the theory behind the Postman. Okay, so in this video we will be talking about the introduction to Postman, and we will see some basic features which Postman has offers. Okay, so we'll see what is Postman first. So what is Postman? Postman is an API platform for building and using APIs. Okay, so the Postman simplifies each step of the API lifecycle and streamlines the collaboration so that you can create a better APIs and faster. Okay, so what is API? API means application programming interface. Uh, think it as an request when the client sends and request to the server through a network, and these communication between the client and server is done through the APIs, and these APIs are to test and create uh, corporate level APIs, or means business level APIs. These tools like Postmans are used. Okay, so there are 10 features of Postman. Let's see one by one. Okay, the first is the Postman API. Okay, the Postman APIs allows you to programmatically access the data stored in your Postman account, right? So to perform all the classic CRUD operation like create, read, update, delete on your collections, environment, mocks, and more. Okay, so I think this is the coolest thing here in the webhooks folder. Also, we'll see what is webhooks uh, as we go on into our series. And next is Postman Echo. The Postman Echo is a service that we build as a bit of sanity checkers and learning tool. It allows you to test your REST clients and make sample API calls. Okay, so this is used to make the sample API calls. As the name suggests, the API echoes back what you send to it. Okay, so API in return gives us the reply. Okay, the Postman visualizer, which is one of my favorite as well. The Postman provides a programmable way to visually represent your request responses using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and we can add visualization for the response body right into the Postman. Okay, next is built-in libraries. Okay, so every programmer loves the building libraries because it makes his or her job way easy. Okay, so Postman has a suite of external library available to use in a pre-request and test the script tabs. Okay, then comes workflow control. What is workflow control? In a collection with a multiple request, oftentimes it makes sense for the request to be run in a sequential order, right? So if once this request over, then this request will be served like that. Other times it will helpful to skip or repeat a certain request. Okay, so there comes the workflow control. We'll see that one as well. Collaboration features is another feature. Postman used to be a platform where people work in isolation and tested API on their own. Okay, with commenting, forking, branching, pull request, tagging. I hope all these features you know, because as we have also seen GitHub, and I am assuming that you know Git and GitHub as well, where all these forking, branching, pull request features are there, and these features are working together has never been easier. Take an advantage of multiplayer experience with shared workspaces and make it a group effort. Okay, so there in that phase, collaboration features comes where you can collaborate with your teammates or your friends and do your task easily. Okay, so collection level information for variable scripts and auth credentials that will be reused for the multiple requests in a specific folder or a collection. Postman makes it easy to follow the dry. What is dry? Don't repeat yourself. Software development principle. It is a software development principle, dry software development principle. Okay, so this collection level information uh, adheres to the dry principle of the software development. Okay, So the monitors for the regression testing. Okay. So monitors are a great way to stay up to date on the health and performance of your APIs. They run through your collections and give you the status of your tests, but they are really only as good as your tests. By running some monitor automatically in different environments, you can test it against the multitude of the scenarios throughout the day. Okay, so we'll see built-in GraphQL support. This is another feature which Postman offers to us. GraphQL has exploded in the popularity in the recent years, as you guys knows. So this feature is also useful. And last one is documentation preserves. So everyone knows whenever we stuck at any point, we refer to the documentation. We see there what all developers have written to that issue. Whenever we got an issue, we see look into the documentation. Okay, so that is also features provided by the Postman as well. Okay, so I hope you got the features, and you have got some idea what is Postman as well. Hello and welcome back to the new video of the Postman tutorial series. So in our previous video, we have talked about the theoretical and introductory part with the Postman, and we learn what are the basic features of that Postman offers to us. And now in this video, we'll be downloading the Postman into our Windows operating system, and we'll set up our Postman in. And from other video onwards, next video onwards, we will actually start working on Postman using some APIs and try to test some APIs. Okay, so I will go into my browser and click on the new tab, and now I will write Postman download. Okay, and first link comes which is official from postman.com/downloads. You just click on there, you will be redirected to the postman.com/downloads, and there you can see uh, a button Windows 64-bit, and if it will automatically detect your operating system and suggest you one button. If you are using a Apple or Mac device, you can see Mac OS corresponding Mac OS download, and if you are using Linux, then you can also see the Linux button as well over there. Okay, currently I'm using Windows 11, that's why it's showing me a Windows 64-bit download. Let me click on the download button and it will start the downloads. Okay, so the file size is 165 MB. Depending upon your internet speed, it will get installed in your PC. I will wait for it to get installed on my system, and once it get installed, I will just click on it and install it. Okay, and by the time, if you guys are liking this series, and do hit that like button and subscribe to our channel, and do comment out anything that you likes uh, about this series. And if you have any doubt, you got any errors while installation as well, you can post your comments. We will try to reach out to you and try to solve your errors as well. Okay, so 20 seconds, 18 seconds, my Postman setup will get downloaded, and after that I can install that setup. Okay, I will wait for 25 seconds more. Let it be. Okay, it's downloading. It depends upon your download internet speed. If it is good, then it will download quick, and if it is bad, then you have to wait for some time to get it downloaded. Okay, okay, now it's downloaded. I will just click on it. Okay, once you click on it, as you can see, processing is happening in the background. Okay, now you can see a Postman setup is there. Okay, it's gone, yes, here you can see Postman is running. Wait a minute, as it's working. Okay, fine, now it's fine. Let me. Okay, fine. Now here you can see manage accounts. I have already my account over here. When you are coming for when you install for the first time, you should not see this page. You will see a sign in or a sign up page where you can click sign up, and according to that you can give your credentials to them, and you after that you can create your account easily from there. And after creating an account, you can just click on the view profile to check all your details of your profile. And this is the yeah, this is my previous project. I will do save changes. Okay, wait, don't save. Let me cancel out my previous project settings. I was doing the API testing for that project. Okay, fine. Now after signing up or sign in, you should see this page wherein my workspace is there, and collections, APIs, environments, mock servers, monitors, flows, and history is there. And we'll see each features of these in our upcoming videos. And one more thing you can do is you can just simply go into your browser and just write Postman Playground. Postman Playground. Okay, so here you can see Discover APIs collection by Julian Digo in Postman Playground, workspace on the Postman public API network. So they do have their own playground where you can go and do the same sort of things that you can do inside your application. As you can see, the API, the screen is or the UI is also similar. Nothing is changed in this. You can do all these steps that you are doing in your app. You can do it also in your playground as well. So you can prefer any one of this. I generally prefer application, so not playground, because I kind of like the UI which app offers us. Okay, it's totally depends on you which you prefer, you can use. Okay, so this is how you can install or set up your Postman in your operating system, whichever operating system you are using. So today in this video we'll be seeing how we can create our very first API request in Postman. Okay, so since this is a beginner friendly course and this is our third video, I don't want to create any complex API request. So in this video we'll be just seeing how we can get started using the Postman, and how we can create and manage our API request that we are going to send or we are going to send to the server, and server in response will give a response to us, okay, through Postman. Okay, so let's go, and let me just open my Postman. Okay, okay, it's opening. Fine. So I am assuming that you have seen our previous videos and you have installed your uh, own version of your Postman in your PC, whether it should be Windows or Linux or Mac. The UI will be same. Okay, fine. So let me just start with the clean slate. I don't want to. Okay, so this is our workspace. Now once you come here, you want to send or create your very first API request. Okay, so before that you have to understand the UI and how you can use this UI that is being provided by the Postman. Okay, so you come inside your collections are nothing but is a way to organize your request or the similar kind of request in a particular folder. Okay, so you create a folder which is named as collection in terms of Postman, and inside which all the similar kind of API requests are grouped together. Okay, and inside APIs it says no APIs yet, because we don't have any added any APIs or tested any APIs in the Postman. Okay, so environments are there, and mock servers, monitors, flows, and history. Here is the history. It will tell you whichever you API request you have given to the Postman. All those API requests are come inside this history part. Okay, so we are trying to create our first API request. Before that, I would highly recommend you or suggest you to create your account on Postman. Don't just get started without creating your account on Postman. So do sign up or sign in if you already have an account. Okay, and then watch this video. Okay, so I'm assuming that you have signed up or signed in your own Postman account. Let's go and create our own very first API request through Postman. Okay, so for this video tutorial I will be using one API which is named as a deck of cards API. So you just go ahead and write deck of cards API in your browser and hit enter, and very first website you will see deckofcards.api.com. Open it. Okay, so what it is a API which is of the deck of cards, the game you might have played once in your lifetime. Okay, so we'll use the shuffle the cards. This one, shuffle the cards request to send the there are many requests, draw a card, shuffle reshuffle the cards. So we'll see all these in our upcoming videos. But now, to create our very first own request through API to Postman, we'll see the how we can do it with the shuffle the cards. Okay, so here you can see this is the this up till now the this is our what we can say endpoints, and after that you can see this is our resources, and after the question mark whatever we write is named as parameters. Okay, so I hope you know all these terms. This is endpoints, resources, and then parameters. Okay, and here you can see add a deck count as a get or post parameter to define the number of decks you want to use. Okay, so they are telling us that we can modify the number of deck counts. Their default they have given as 1. You can modify. Blackjack typically uses 6 decks. The default is 1. Okay, so they have given us the default. You can modify it to 6 as well, 1 to 6, whatever you want. Okay, and in response this API will give you a response like this. This is a JSON object. Success is true or false, that means it's a boolean, or deck ID is given to you which is unique, and shuffled is set as a true, and remaining is 52 because there are 52 cards in a deck, and we are performing shuffling of cards. Okay, so there should not be any cards that is decrease or increase. Okay, okay, fine. We can just hit copy. So to copy this request, and we go inside our Postman, and you can see there are 2 ways by which you can create your very first own request of API. Just to hit enter over here, it will create an untitled request. Okay, so if you don't, another way is click on new. Then there are a bunch of options over here. You can see you can click on HTTP request. Again you will come at that same UI that you are getting by clicking on the plus button, and you can see untitled request is there, and you can rename your request by clicking on. Okay, so here you can see new request, duplicate tab. You can do all these things. Okay, okay, fine. We will go ahead and unsave changes. Okay, okay, so these many requests, get, post request, put request, patch, delete, copy, head. These are many requests which is provided by the Postman. We will select the get, and params is the parameters that we are passing. So in our case we are passing the parameters of deck count as 1, so it will come over here key as a deck count and value as 1, and if you have in description you can provide that as well. And authorization part is there are some APIs which require authorization. You can't just go ahead and hit send the request to the API. Those APIs requires authorization. For that testing of APIs, this authorization tab comes in picture. We will see that APIs, that type of APIs as well. Okay, and these are the settings which is there for this request that we are trying to create. Okay, enough talking. We'll go into the params, and the link that is, or the request that we have copied from here, we'll just go ahead and paste it over here. And as soon as I hit control V or command V for Mac, you can see it automatically populated the deck count and value as 1. As soon as I change the value as 6, you can see the Postman is also quick query params are also changing that one as well. I will keep it as 1, which is default 1. Okay, and as soon as I hit enter, you can see send and download also features is there. You can send and download your response, which you will get from your API. Okay, so I will just simply hit send. Okay, now we can see status is 200. Okay, so I hope you know this status codes of web. Okay, so you can see state. If you don't know, just go ahead and enter, search for the status code. First thing for link came from developer.mozilla.org. Here are the HTTP responses status codes are there. You can watch or see every status code that you get. So our API has sent us status code as 200. Okay, if you hover over here, you can see the documentation as well. The standard, you can see standard response for successful HTTP request. So our request is successful, and time taken is also is there, and amount of size 830 bit byte it takes. Okay, so here also Postman provides us various uh, tabs. Pretty means all the JSON response that we get from our API is prettified, and this looks in a good manner. Okay, so raw means the response that we get from our API in a raw. Preview is a preview, and visualize setup. So we have to set up the visualizer for this. Okay, we will do in our upcoming videos. But now you can see success is true, deck ID is given to us, remaining 52, and shuffle is true. So if I go here and deck of cards API, similarly similar kind of response that they have given to us, that response we have given uh, back to us from our API. Okay, so this is how you can create your own API. Okay, and now if I just save, and here you can see says you don't have any collections. Let me create one collection so that you can understand the collection part as well. Create collection. I will name my collection as deck of cards API. Okay, I'll create my collection. Okay, so the collection is empty. If I click on save, now we can go inside your collections, and you can see deck of cards API collection is created, inside which our this API call is there. And if I again hit enter or send, this should give me the same kind of response, but the deck ID is different. Okay, so whenever you click on this, deck ID will be different for every response that you are trying to give to the API. Okay, so if I give 2, you can see remaining is 104. Okay, so the maximum is 6, I guess, that we can give. Yeah, 6 we can give, and if I try to give 7, let's check what it takes. Okay, strategy is also 7 is also good. Okay, so fine. Hello and welcome back to the new video of the Postman tutorial series. So till now we have covered our introduction. We have seen Postman features, and we have also seen installation of the Postman, and in our previous video we have seen how we can create our very first API request in the Postman. Okay, so moving forward, to for you to understand what is Postman, first you need to understand what is API, right? So all you do in Postman is API testing. Okay, so first we in this video we'll understand what is API, and in our upcoming videos or the next video, then we will move forward how we use the Postman, right? So for this video we'll see what is API. So the formal definition for the API is API stand for application programming interface. In the context of APIs, the word application refers to any software with a distinct function. Also, you can assume any software that you use in your day-to-day life which has an API, and the interface can be thought as a contract or a service between two applications. In this contract defines how to communicate with each other using the requests and responses. Okay, so assume it as we will try to give examples and try to understand what is API, what we are trying to say in this formal definition. So assume you have one application, uh, okay, where we are trying to book our hotels. Okay, so in your many application like Make My Trip, Yatra.com, you see there you have to put your location, and then you have to put your check-in date and checkout date. So these are the parameters that they have asked, and there is one button named as submit. Once you hit the submit button, your all these fields value will get fetched, and it is being sent to the server. And assume this is your server where all those information about the hotels are stored. And for this example, I assume there is only one hotel present at this location. Okay, and once you hit the submit button, your request will get to sent to the server, and server will check whether this location and this time and this checkout time, this checking time, with how many hotels are there, and the server will send back the response, or will give the response back to the client. Over here the server will send the request back to the client, and client in the client GUI, or the graphical user interface, the client will able to see the server the response that is being given by the server. So this is our server, and where all the information of the hotels are stored. Okay, so this communication of client is nothing but a browser, or any end application, maybe it Android application or the browser, let it be Chrome. We assume we are going to yatra.com, and we are giving all these details and hitting the submit button, and on submit button click, the response is given to the server, and server in response will give the all the details of the hotels which are present for that location in that check-in and check-out timing. Okay, so this communication of client to the server and server to the client is happens over the network. So there is one network or which this all this communication happens, and this communication to happen between client and server, we require API, right? So there is an API which do all this task of fetching giving the response, giving the details, and getting back the response. All this work done by an API. Okay, so at first you given the information, that information is converted into XML or JSON format. We will see what are XML and JSON format. So that format is understandable by the server, and those are converted into XML and JSON format, and that response is sent through API over the network to the server, and server process that, or interprets that information that he gets from the API, and process that information and send back the response in the XML or JSON format. And that response we will fetch it over here, and put it in a user understandable manner. Okay, so this is our first example where you can see how APIs works, uh, and how we can communicate to the client server. Okay, so another example is you go to the restaurant. I hope you uh, once in a week you go to the restaurant once, and there is one kitchen in the restaurant, right? So there's one kitchen in the restaurant, and one waiter is there. Okay, so you could have asked why once you go to the restaurant, you could have asked, I directly go to the kitchen and give my order, right? So it will it will save the job of the waiter, right? I will go right into the kitchen and order something. But assume there are thousands of users which came to the restaurant, and they are also going to the kitchen, and there is only one chef or two chefs which are handling those requests of food. And then in that case, that the this might be hectic to the chefs working at the kitchen. Then in that case, waiter will come into the picture. There are multiple waiters we can assign, and those waiters will take the request from the user, and the waiter will process that request and give back to the kitchen to the chef, and chef will process your food and get back to the waiter, and waiter will in response will give your get your response from the kitchen and serve you the dish at the end user. So this kind of communication is required when you have multiple users which are trying to hit that kitchen, and in that case waiter, which acts as an API, is required to make that communication happen. Okay, so this communication that I have told you in the first example over here do require some authentication. There are some APIs that require some authentication, right? So assume you are the yatra.com owner, and this is the central DB of the some airlines. The airline may be Indigo, Air India, or any airlines you could have imagined, and these user will came in here and give their preferred location where the user want to go, and user this request is given to the server of Indigo or the Air India, any airlines, and that airlines in response will give the response that to the client that this many flights are there from our airlines which goes from this location to this location. So these kind of APIs do require authentication. Uh, authentication is required in order to understand that yeah, this is the yatra.com client, which is a verified and genuine client which trying to hit a request to my server or the Indigo server, trying to fetch the details of the flights which are going from this location to this location. So this authentication is done, and in response the server of the Indigo will give back the response or the number of the flights that are available in that location, and it will also give the current booking status of the user as well, how many seats are booked and how many seats are not booked. Okay, so this is how API works over the network. Some API do require authentication, some API doesn't require any authentication. I hope by using these two example you got some idea what are API and how they works. So in our previous video we have understood how API, what is API, and how APIs works. So now in this video we will be understanding how what is HTTP protocols, and what are the various response codes that you get over the network, okay, once you send a request, okay, to an API. So why to understand this HTTP protocols? So HTTP protocols are important because any communications that you do over an internet is done through HTTP protocols. And one more protocol is there, HTTPS, which means secure, which has SSL certificate, which is secured one. And now in this video we will be talking about HTTP protocols. So let's get started. So if you head over to the official MDN web docs, an overview of HTTP. Here you can see HTTP is a protocol for fetching resources such as HTML document. So assume you are the client, and client in the sense you are using a browser, which is any browser, maybe Microsoft Edge and Chrome. So the browser are intended to show the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript pages. So you see here the whole page, which is well formatted using the CSS and JavaScript, adding the functionality to it. So it is a protocol for fetching the resources such as HTML documents. It is a foundation of any data exchange on the web or the over the internet, and it is client server protocol. So the client is my client is browser, which is fetching the resource from the developer.mozilla.org. It is the endpoint, which means requests are initiated by the recipient, usually the web browser. As I said, a complete document is reconstructed from the different sub documents fetched, for an instance text, layout, description, images, and video, and more. Okay, so this is one good pictorial diagram of how HTTP protocol works. So these are the CSS layer. These are the images various. These are the ads that we put in our website. These are the video that we play on a website. These are the textual data that we have in our website, and this is a whole represents as a web document. As you can see, this is the whole web document, and over the internet developer.mozilla.org have their own web server and the own video server and the own ad server. So these requests get request, so to fetch a data we send the get request. So this video layout will send a get request to the video server, and ad server will send the request to the ads, and web server will hold the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for that entire web page. So this is how the HTTP protocol will work. And one more good pictorial representation of the HTTP protocol over here. You can see, if you just go over this link, and you can read this entire document where they have uh, told you how the HTTP protocols works in depth. All those, yeah, here you can see get slash HTTP slash 1.1. So get is the method name, path we are trying to access is the slash means roots, and the version of the protocol that we mentioned over here. Okay, so our host in this URL is developer.mozilla.org, and the accept language is FR, which is headers. And now if you go ahead, and this is how the HTTP protocols works over the internet. And now if you see our previous example of this, where we have sent our first get request, you can see we are getting status as 200. Okay, so these are nothing but the HTTP response codes. Okay, so if you go to the MDN web docs, where HTTP response status codes, there are various codes that are there for various types of responses. Okay, so if you got any code in your Postman, like here 200, okay, which is in between 100 to 199, that represents information responses. Okay, and similarly, any response that is in between 200 to 299, it is a successful response. And similarly, 300 to 399 redirection messages, and the client error responses are in between 400 to 499. So anything that gets wrong at the client side, so you will get error between 400 to 499, and you can understand that something is going wrong at the client side itself. And if you are getting any code between 500 to 599, then in that case you can understand that something is wrong at the server side, and you can go and try to rectify that error at the server side itself. Okay, so these are the response codes that you need to understand, so that you can get the this status code easily, and you can understand what is happening when I hit that API request. Okay, fine. So these are the info. If you go over to this page, you can see 100 is for continue, 101 is for switching the protocols, and successful responses are the request succeeded. The result meaning of success depends on the HTTP method. So methods are get, head, put, post, and trace. We'll see in our upcoming videos what is get method, what is post method, put, delete. Okay, so we'll see in our upcoming videos that one as well. So you can see 200 is an okay, so everything working fine. You get that result as intended over here for the 200 okay status. Okay, so you can go toward this to this link, and you can find this official document of MDN web docs, and you can learn the different web HTTP codes, response codes, status codes, and yeah, this is what yeah, you can see various browser compatibility are also there, whether the 100 code is supported on the Chrome. Yes, here you can see that well formatted chart is also there. So this is how HTTP protocol works, and these are the various response codes that you get whenever you are trying to hit an API request over the internet. So you could have asked why to use Postman, right? So one thing is, when you are working in an organization, there is one project that you are building, and there are some APIs that are required for that project. Uh, so the front end and back end development, or the both are different in if you are working in an organization. And you have seen that front end UI is not developed yet, but the APIs that are used in that project are developed. Okay, so in that case, you have to test those APIs without the UI. Assume you are building an registration form where you are taking the user's input like first name, username, password, all those things, and you are fetching those things from the user to the server, and you are trying to register that user to that server, right? So in that case, APIs are required, and you see front end is not developed yet, but the APIs that are required to register the user are developed. Then in that case, without a front end UI, the Postman the tool is very useful and handy, because it will you give the end URL over here, and whatever type of request you are doing is you can select from here, whether it is get, post, push, patch, delete, and you can pass the query parameter to the body as well, and the parameters you can pass over here, and you can test your APIs over here itself without the front end being developed. Okay, this is how Postman you can use. So hello and welcome back to the new video of the Postman tutorial series. So in our previous video we have talked about the HTTP protocols and HTTP codes, and now for in this video we will be talking about the get and post uh, method call that you give through Postman in depth. Okay, so first of all let us see what is get and post. Okay, so while the HTTP post method is used to send the data to a server to create or update a resource. Okay, so when we use the post method, when we want to send a particular data to the server and want to create or update any kind of means any kind of creation or deletion update or the updation part that you want to do inside your server through the client side, then in that case you send the post request, right? The HTTP GET request is used to request a data from a specified resource and should have no other effect. Okay, so what when we use the GET method, when we want to fetch a data from a server and put it inside a client UI, that means when we call that this app.diagrams.net, it will go to the server and it will fetch the entire that file. It is a get method, and it fetch and it displays that file is given back to my browser, and browser will render the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for that file. Okay, so that I can see that entire page in a well formatted manner with CSS applied. Okay, so that is the get method, and HTTP post request provides the additional data for that data from the client to the server message body. Okay, so as we discussed, post method creates or updates a resources. For that you have to send a data with that post method or the request to through that network. Okay, so for this video we will be using one API, that is free API, dummy API, which is recres.in, response.in. Okay, so this is the test your front end against a real API. So this is a dummy API. All the fake data is being put it inside this API. The responses you will get are the real ones. Means it looks like real, and it is always on 24/7. You can access this API anytime, anywhere. Okay, and now yeah, here you can see the their documentation is there. They have given the various calls that you can make to this API, that is Recres API. The get call, the post call, the put call, the patch, delete, and so these are the various calls that you can make to this API. And they are also told you various get call like list user, single user, if you want to display the single user that is being there inside this API. Okay, and you want to list the users, then in that case what will be your means the request that you sell, what will be the request and what will be the response code. If everything is okay, then you should get a response code of 200. So this is the documentation for this, and you can see there are users they have mentioned over here. And if you want to support them, you can also support the request by clicking over here, and you can donate them some bucks. Okay, so let me just go ahead and open up my Postman. We'll see in this video what is get and post request. We'll make one request to this request API and try to understand how the get and post works, right? So this is our previous video API, or let me just save changes. Yeah, so it is there inside the deck of cards API. We have tested one API deck of cards in our previous videos. If you haven't watched that, go ahead, go and watch that first. Okay, so now let's get into the video and create our first get and post request to the Request API. Okay, so for first, let me just give you. Okay, so there are multiple get requests that you can give to this API, right? So what we'll be doing, we'll be seeing a list of users and single users. Okay, so let me click on the list users. You can see what will be my request. Here you can see, if I click on this, you can see it will go into the new tab, and you can see request.in/API/users, and after the question mark, whatever you write, those are the query parameters. We do have one separate video on the query parameter as well. In our upcoming videos we'll see that one as well, but for time being now, just to understand you, the /API/users is the resource that we are trying to fetch, and after the question mark, whatever they have written, those are the query parameters, right? So what we are telling this API is, go to this endpoint, fetch me this API/users resource, and put the query parameter as page 2. Okay, so if I click on page 1, if I want to get the page 1, if I, as soon as I write one page 1, and if I and hit enter, so you can see it is giving me the raw data, but I have one extension installed in my PC, that is JSON Viewer Pro. You can also get it from the Chrome extensions. What it will do is, whenever it gets the JSON object, it will prettify it, or it will show you in a well formatted manner like this. If you don't want that, you can just turn off your this JSON Viewer Pro, turn off it, and you will see the default JSON object. Okay, and you can also see the chart for this, the like response, or then per page, total page, like that. So it is a very good extension. You can also install in your PC. Okay, a Chrome browser, and you can go. Okay, so now if I write get back to 2, yeah, page number 2, there are many users, the ID 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, it's working fine. So now we go ahead and get this URL and paste it in our, what we can say, Postman. Okay, so let me copy this. I go into my Postman, I will paste my URL, and as soon as I paste, you can see query parameters get updated, because after the question marks, what is the key? Key is my page, and what is the value? 2 is my value. Okay, and since it is a get request, so I will select the get from this drop down, and I will hit enter. Sorry, send, and you can see a same kind of response I get from here, that I am getting over here as well. Okay, so same kind of response the Postman given to me, and that too as a status of 200. Okay, so you can see they also mentioned, if everything is fine, you should get the response as 200. Okay, and let me go ahead and give the page as 1. So it will list down the number of users, or the users that belongs to page 1, like 1 2 3 4 5 6. Those 6 members are belong to the page number 1. Okay, so this is the first get request that we have made. Now if you want to print or the get the single user, right, not print, get, then in that case they do have this uh, request.in/API/user. Now in this time, you don't put any query parameter, you just write /2. That indicates that you want to retrieve the user that whose ID is 2, right? So we will go ahead and just copy that URL. Okay, let me just copy this URL. Okay, wait, let me just copy. Okay, and we will go inside our Postman, just paste this and hit send. Yeah, the same output you will get. you will get the entire data for the user whose ID is true, like their email, their first name, their last name, their avatar. Okay, so everything you got from here. Okay, so this is about the get request get method. Okay, now we will see one example of the post as well. So as I told you, post is used for the updation or creation of new user inside your server, or anything that you want to create a new. Okay, so yeah, for this API they do have one post method, that is create method, and they do have their own you can see request.in/api/users. So this will give me the whole list of the users that those are there here, and by default it will show me the page number 1, and per page 6 users are there. You can see 6 users are there, and total 12 pages, total pages 2 are there, and these are the information. And now since this is a post method, as I told you, you have to pass one or more query parameters that they ask, or the input to that. Like, assume if you are filling up a form like a login form, there you have to give your username and password, and you hit the submit button, right? So in that case, your username and password should have been passed over the network to through the API to the server, so that server can authenticate that yes, you are the authenticated person for that website, and server will in response give you the dashboard or access of your account. Okay, so in that case, we do have to pass these many parameters to the API in order to get the post request called. Okay, so let me just go ahead and copy this URL, and we will go inside our Postman, and we will paste this URL over here. And now since we want to create a new user inside our server, then we have to make our uh, uh, call change our method as post method. And now as I said you, these many parameters this API is asking us to give it to it. And now if we go here now to pass these many parameters, since this is a JSON object, you have to pass that. Now you just go here, I click on the body, click on the raw, and instead of text, check on the JSON for JSON. Okay, so now you go ahead and get this object, control C, and just put down your object over here, and you can change anything. Okay, so I can name it as Alan, and the job is worker, maybe. Okay, so this is the data that I am passing to the API over this endpoint, and the call is of method post method. Okay, so when I hit enter, okay, so you can see it is telling me that 201 created. So you can see what is saying, the request has been fulfilled and resulted in a new resource being created. Okay, so what is the resource? The name is Alan, the job is worker, and ID is automatically getting created by the API and created at the time time at which this this user get created inside their server. Okay, and here also you can see you should get the 201 response code if everything is working fine, and this users will get added inside the server over this post method. Okay, so this is how the post method works, and get method works in Postman. And you can use this recres.in and play around it, and try to get the get and post method is and try to learn it. Okay, so in our upcoming videos we will see put, patch, and delete, how we can to perform these operation put, patch, and delete using this recres.in dummy API. Okay, so hello and welcome back to the new video of the Postman tutorial series. So in our previous video we have seen get and post method, and now for this video we will be seeing put, patch, and delete methods using the recres API that we are also seen in our previous video as well. Okay, so they do have their own put, patch, and delete methods over here. So we will be seeing each one of these in this video, and we'll see how what is the main difference between put and patch, why when to use put and when to use patch as well. Okay, and or when to use delete. Okay, So let me just go ahead inside my Postman. And as you can see, I have created a collection for the request API as well. This is a collection for the deck of cards API. Okay, so now if I just go here and click on this plus sign, so it will give me the one untitled request. This is the new request. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so the when to use put. Okay, so if you go into the request API and you click on the put, and you can see one text is there that says update. Okay, so when you want to use the put, when you want to update, or when you want to make changes in that whole, okay, in that object, right? So when the main difference in put and patch is, when you are using put, you have to pass that entire that entire object, JSON object, that you are using when you are created that user, right? So here you can see, when we are creating that user, we have passed the name and job. And when you are trying to update anything inside that object, then also, if you are using the put method, then in that case you have to pass the entire object or the JSON object to this API. Okay, and when you are using patch, then in that case you can pass the partial object, right? So you don't require to pass the entire JSON object. You can pass the whatever things that you want to update, that many things only you can pass, and your job will get done. Okay, the object will or the updation will be done inside that object, right? So when you want to delete, as the word says, when you want to delete that particular user from your server, then in that case you can use the delete call. Okay, now, and if we go, we see one by one. Okay, we'll see put first. Okay, so for the put, they have given this URL, as you can see, request.in/api/user/2. /2 represents the ID of the users. You can see ID is 2, so we are doing the updation in the user whose ID is 2. Okay, you can you can pass any ID over here. You can pass 3, 4, 5, whatever you want. The corresponding user will get updated. Okay, now if they have told you to pass this entire JSON object through this put method. Okay, so we will go inside our Postman. We will change our method as put. We will paste that URL. Let me just copy my URL from here. Control C. I get into my Postman, I just Control V. Okay, so we do require to pass that entire object. Then in that case, as I told you in our previous video as well, if you want to pass the JSON object, come inside body, click on the raw, click on text, and select the JSON from the drop down, and paste your object that you want to pass. Okay, so Control C and Control V. Okay, so you can see this name that we are given is Morpheus, and job is Zion resident. So we will, if you pass this and I click on send, you can see now the user whose ID is 2, that is being updated with the name as Morpheus and job as Zion resident. Okay, so before that, let me just go and get one thing. If I get this, okay, so you can see, just wait a minute. Okay, if I go into the put method and if I hit enter, you can see the name is getting updated and job is also getting updated, and status is also 200. Okay, that represents everything is okay, and the user gets updated with the name and job that we have passed through this JSON object, right? So we will see one our example of the patch as well. If I go inside the patch, now you can see you can pass any one of these, like here, if you want to change the job only, if you don't want to change the name, then in that case you can pass only JSON object that has attribute as job itself. Okay, so if I go here and if I select the patch as the method, and I want to change the user to itself, and I don't want to change the name. I just only want to change the job, and change the job as worker. Okay, and if I hit enter, if I hit send, now you can see the job will get updated, and the new job of the user whose ID is worker. That means using patch you can update the object partially, and using put you have to pass the entire object on which you can perform the updation. Okay, now if I click on delete, we will see one delete example as well. And for delete they have given us the same URL. Let me just don't need to copy because same URL is over here. Just need to change the method as delete, and I don't want to pass any of these JSON object to this. Okay, I just go here to parameters, and when I hit enter or the send button, when I click on the send button, so you can see 204 not contained is what I'm getting from this API. The response but the API given me is 204 not content, no content, sorry, not content is not. Okay, so the same response that is been documented in their docs as well, because if you want to delete that user, it will delete that user and send you back the response of 204 no content, because the user is successfully deleted from the server. Okay, so this is how the put, patch and delete works. I hope you got some idea. So in our previous video we have seen put, patch and delete uh, methods that we can do in our Postman, and now in this video we will be seeing what is query parameters in Postman, right? So before we see in the actual implementation, let's understand what actually the query parameters are, and then we will go in Postman and we'll try to understand query parameters using one dummy API, right? Okay, so we go here and see. For the first point is saying optional key value pairs that appear after question mark in URL, right? So anything that you see in your URL after question mark is your query parameters, right? And the question mark separate the path and the query parameter. So what is the separator that separates the query parameters with the path is the question mark, right? So it is used for mainly filtering of the resources. Okay, so let's suppose there are 100 files that is being returned by the server, and now from that 100 files you just want the first 10 files. So in that case you can apply the query parameters in your URL, and so that you will get the only first 10 files from the return file from the server, right? So these are some use cases where you can use the query parameters to filter out the resources that you are getting from the server. Okay, so multiple query parameters are separated by and between them. Okay, so this is an and sign in programming. Okay, so the multiple, if you want to implement the multiple query parameters in your URL, then in that case you should separate them using an and sign between them. Okay, so I will show you an example. If you see here, https colon double double slash example.com/books, it is our this is our URL, and after that we have one question mark sign, and after that whatever we write is the query parameters, right? So after question mark I have written author is equal to enid. Okay, so what will be my author is will be my key, and enid will be my value. So this is a key value pair format of writing the query parameters. And as I told you, if you are having the multiple query parameters, then in that case you can separate them by and sign. So I have written the and limit is equal to 100. Okay, so what am I telling through this URL is go to example.com/books, and there filter those resources which are located at the books, and on the basis of the author which having enid as the string, and after filtering getting that resources, limit the 100. That means return me the first 100 resources from that entire author which having the ENID as the string, right? So let's suppose we have 500 authors whose string matches with the ENID. Then in that case, by writing the limit query parameters, with the API will return us the first 100 resources from that result, right? So this is how we this is what query parameter is in your URL. So let us go ahead and see one API, and we try to implement and we'll see how query parameters actually work, right? So let me get into my Postman. Okay, so this is our previous video API. Okay, so let me just save the changes. Okay, you know what, I don't want to save that. Okay, so the API that I will be using here is Swagger UI's API bookstore API. So if you head over this bookstore.demoqa.com/swagger and then /bookstore v1 bookget, then in that case you will be finding this bookstore API, which is well formatted, documented as well. So for this, you just come here inside the bookstore. Get method is there, bookstore/v1/book. Okay, so this resource have one query parameter required. One query parameter, you can see star repellers required. So which requires an ISBN as a query parameters. So you have to pass this query parameter in order to hit this URL. Okay, so let me just go ahead and try it out. Okay, and we will go and try this out. Okay, so let me just go ahead and copy this one from here. Okay, wait a minute. We go here and let me just copy my endpoint, that is this one as it is. I go into my Postman, I click on the plus sign, I paste that URL, and since this is also a get request, here you can see get request, get method, and then in that case after that what they have instructed us /bookstore/v1 /book. So as same we have to write it down over here. Let me just write it down here, bookstore /v1/book. Okay, so this is my URL, and as here you can see it requires one ISBN string as the query parameter. So how we write our query parameter, as we have seen, to write our query parameter, if you just go here you can see we have to separate it with the question mark sign. I will write question mark, and then in that case what will be the my here is ISBN is my required parameter, that query parameter that I have to pass. I will just go here and okay, just a minute. Okay, so the required parameter is ISBN. I will write ISBN, and since it is a string, so I can pass the value like this one. Let me pass it just a random string first. We will see what we get from this query. Let me hit send request over here, and when I hit send, the requesting is being sent over the network to this bookstore.demoqa.com. Just wait for the response from the server. Okay, since I given the random string as a ISBN, so it should give me error because there cannot be any this CCS value would be there, right? So in that case we should get one error. Okay, let it be. We'll go here and just before that, first of all let's call this one itself, and we'll get some books ISBN number, then we'll try this one as well. Okay, so just wait a minute, let me just copy this out. Okay, and just cancel this and just send this request to this API. Okay. Okay, it's taking a lot of time to process, I guess. Okay, wait guys. Okay, I will pause the video here. Once the request get completed, I will resume my video, right? Okay, so guys, here you can see when I doesn't pass any query parameters, I just write v1/books, and then when I hit send, then in that case you would see all those books which get listed over here. And now we will see we will pass one query parameters which is ISBN query parameter. Let me just copy out this ISBN number from here, and I will just go here and write question marks. So my key is ISBN, and my value is what I copied from here. And now if I hit send, you should see only the book that contains that ISBN numbers get returned. Okay, so this is how it works. Okay, so query parameters are working. And if you want to write the multiple query parameters, you just have to mention and in after the either after the first query parameter, and you can give that as well. Okay, so if I write author is equals to, and if I just copied out this author name from here and paste it over here itself, and just hit when I hit send, you can see author whose content this Richard E. Silverman gets returned by the server. So this is how the query parameters are work in the Postman. And one more thing, as you see in here, as soon as I write and the Postman automatically changes or updates the query params. And if you come here and you write let's suppose I want to give another author name as right, so and I will write that, and whatever I write here, it will get automatically appended over here as well. Okay, so this is a very good feature of the Postman. You can do it manually from here, and you can add that manually in the URL as well. Okay, and one more feature is there. If you want to specify what is the use of this query parameters ISBN, then in that case you can also give the description to this query parameters whatever you want. This is for the documentation purposes, and so that you can understand when next time you came here, and you can understand, yeah, so ISBN is used for this part. Okay, so don't worry, description is not sent over the network. Description stays here inside the Postman, just to understand what that query parameter is doing inside the URL. For that purpose, you can write the description as well here. Okay, so these are the query parameters in Postman and URL. You can just go head over to this URL and see the bookstore API and try to understand the different get, post, delete methods. From here you can try it as well by your own. And today in this video we will be seeing how we can add the header parameters in our Postman. And what is the header parameters in Postman? So in our previous video we have seen query parameters. We have seen what is query parameters, how we can implement them, and we have also seen one example using that one as well. So now today in this video we'll be seeing the header parameters in Postman. Okay, so the header parameters are the parameters which are included in the request header. Okay, and it is a kind of additional information or the metadata that you send along with your request, whether it should be it is HTTP or HTTPS to the server. So there are key value pairs and separated by colon. Okay, so they are key value pairs and they are separated by the colons. All right. Now, request headers can convey many things. For example, they can convey a body of the request, they can convey client making the request, authorization, connection management, encoding. All these types of examples the headers can convey through your request. Okay, so in this video we'll see one authorization request that we will make to an dummy API, which is a bookstore API, which is available in the Swagger, as we have used this API in our previous video as well. Okay, and we'll try to make the authorization header parameter through our request. Okay, so I will go inside my Postman quickly. Okay, so you see, whenever you want, if you go here bookstore API, if you want to give you see you come here inside the bookstore API, and one post method is there, bookstore slash v1 slash books. What this API this is doing is it is getting the user's detail and the string as in string ISBN string that represents the ISBN number for that book, and it is assigning that book to the user whose user IDs that we are going to pass. But one thing, this post request requires the authorization token to be passed as a header parameter. So we will pass our authorization token along with this post method, so that these ISBN numbers get assigned to the user that we are trying to pass here. Okay, so first of all, we do require the user IDs and all those things. That for that reason, I will just go in my Postman. I will make one get request uh, to the bookstore slash v1 slash books. Okay, so if you go inside this, okay, so it is a get request. What this request is method is doing, it is giving me the details about the books. Okay, so I will get the details about the books over here. You can see I have get the ISBN numbers of different books, the other title, subtitle, author. Okay, so we do require this ISBN number, which will be get assigned to the user. For that, I have made this get request. You can also make this get request over here, and you don't need to pass anything since it is a get request. You just go ahead and copy up this endpoint here, and you just hit send, and this will give you the details of the books that are there inside the server. Okay, so next up we want to create one user so that we can assign that book to that user, right? So to create an user, again we come into the documentation of the bookstore API, and if you want to create an user, since we are creating a user, the method should be post request, and along with that the point and the endpoint that we are getting is like you can see if you go here and account v1 user. Okay, so you go here account v1 user, so it is a post method. So what this method is will do, it will create a new user in that on the server, right? So what it requires is username and password. So you have to get the pass the username and password so to create that user, right? So we will paste that endpoint over here, and we go inside body raw and select the JSON as the type, and we will pass this JSON object, which is username as ran and password as anything that you can do. But one thing is, your password should be length of 8 or more, and one uppercase letter and numeric values should be there, and one special character should be there. So remember that while creating the password for you. Okay, so as soon as you create this and hit send, you should get this prompt saying that user has been created, 201 created with the user ID you will get, and the username and the books. So initially the books array is empty, you can see, since we have not assigned any book to that user. Okay, so now in order to assign a book to that user, what we will be doing is we are going to this post method, bookstore slash v1 slash books. Since it is a post request, it's accepting the user ID and the collections of ISBNs and ISBN and the ISBN string. Okay, so as I told you, this requires the authorization token to be get passed over the request. Okay, so now if I go ahead and go here and I will get the URL over here, and I will, since it is a post request, I will switch that to the post and raw and JSON, and I will copy the entire path from here, and I will just paste it over here. Okay, and as soon as I hit send, I should get the error saying 401 unauthorized, like you can see message user not authorized, because this post method requires an authorization token to be passed so that the API can authenticate that user, and then only you can assign this ISBN string to that particular user, that whose user ID you are passing from here. All right, so to do that, you come over here. Okay, so we will first generating the token for that user. Okay, so how you can generate the token? Again, we go into the documentation, and we can see one method is there, post method, which is account slash v1 slash generate token. We will just click on it, and since it is a post request post method, it should get this parameters JSON object that needs to be passed with the request, that is username and the password of that user. Okay, so we will go inside our Postman. We will set the method as post. We will again copy and paste that entire URL over here, and we will come into raw and JSON, and we will take the username and password as same as that we have created while we are creating the user. We'll copy that entire object and JSON object and paste it over here, and when I hit send, it should give me the token expired sorry guys, status and result. Okay, so you get the token, right? So now you have to just come here and just copy this token. Hit Control C, your token will be get copied. Now now since you have the token, you just need to pass that token with the header parameters as an authorization token, so that API can authenticate that user and assign that ISBN number to that user. So for that we will create a new uh, we will again create a new request. Okay, so we will go over here and just come here, and we will just copy this entire object from here, and we will paste it over here inside the body raw JSON, and it is the post method. We are passing this, and in the place of your user ID, what you will be pasting is, as we have seen, when we are creating the user, we got the user ID for that user that we have created. We will just copy that and paste it over here. And for the ISBN number, we have also called the get method, through which we have got this many ISBN numbers. So for this, I will just copy this one. Just come here and copy this, and after copying this, just paste that ISBN number over here. Okay, and after pasting this, you after pasting this, now we have to pass the header parameter as a token. Okay, so you come inside the header tab, and since this you can see over here 8 hidden. If you click over here, so these many header parameters that our Postman is passing to over the API connection, accept encoding, accept. These are the default header parameters that Postman is passing to through this API. We don't require those. We will just hide. You can see what are those by clicking on this button, and now we have to pass the authorization token. So the key for the authorization is the authorization. You just come here and click on this. You write AU. You will get a prompt of authorization. So you just click on that prompt, and you just need to, now what you have to do, you have to paste the key that you have copied, or the authorization token that you have copied from here. You just paste that authorization token over here. After pasting that authorization token, you just need to add BEARER, barrier, and then one space, and then your authorization token as it is that you have copied from here. So what you have to do, BEARER, barrier, and then one space, and the authorization token that you have copied. You have to keep the value as it is. uh, don't try it. Don't forget to give the space after the barrier and authorization token, and once you do that, you just now you are good to go for the request to get sent. Okay, so now if you hit send, you can see previous output we have one get one ISBN document. Now if I again hit send, then it should give me ISBN already present in the user collection, because I am sending this request twice. What I will be doing is I will go here and I will get one another number, ISBN number, so that I can show you what will be the expected output. I will just paste it over here, and if I hit send, now you can see since it is a different ISBN number, it should assign that ISBN number to that user. Now it is also assigning the ISBN number to the user. Now if you go here and yeah, these are the books that are getting assigned to that user. Okay, so if I hit send, user, it should say user exists. That means this user has already there inside the server, and it exists there. Okay, so this is how the header parameters are work, and this is how we pass the authorization token to that API as an header parameter, right? So I hope you got some idea. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. So in our previous video we have see header parameters in Postman. Now in this video we'll be seeing what are the path parameters in Postman. Okay, so a path parameter is that part of the URI where and it is denoted in the curly braces in the URI. Okay, so if I give example to you, look at here, I will just go to the Swagger API, bookstore API. So it is very useful. We can learn many more things using this bookstore API. So head over to this URL, and you will see the bookstore API, and it's all these methods, get, post, delete, and methods you can see. And if I go over here, you can see I just need to copy this one, copy this, and yeah, paste here. Okay, so here you can see this is our URL, and you can see after this last slash, you can see in the curly braces they have mentioned UUID, that is the user ID that they are passing with that request. Okay, so anything that is represented in that curly braces are known as the path parameters in the URL or the API. Okay, so we'll see one example of the path parameters in Postman, and yeah, try to understand. Okay, so I will go inside my Postman, and over here I will create a new request. Okay, so if I click on this, new untitled request will be get created, and I will go to my Swagger API, Swagger UI bookstore API, and over here you can see inside the account section I have one get method where the endpoint is our same as we have seen. This is our first base URL. I will just copy that my base URL over here, and after that we have slash account slash v1 slash user and then slash UUID. Okay, so I will just copy that part as well. Just hit copy, and I will send. Okay, paste that over here. Okay, so I have to remove one slash. Okay, now there are two ways by which you can specify your path parameters in Postman. Okay, I will show you both of them one by one. So and let's try to understand. Okay, so the first way is you just go ahead and straight forwardly pass the user ID that you are trying to fetch. Okay, so let me just give you overview first what this get method is doing. This get method is getting the user ID over here. We have to give the user ID instead of this UUID, and it it is getting that user and fetching that user and giving us back. Okay, so what is this get method is doing? It is receiving one user ID and giving us the all the details regarding to that user. Okay, so if I just go ahead and if I go inside of previous calls, okay, so I have created this user over here. in a previous video itself, and I will just copy the user ID for this user. I will just copy this, and if I hope you have watched our previous video. So if you haven't watched that video, go and watch, then and then only you will get what is happening in this video. Okay, so if I once I copy that, I will just come here, and I will just cut out that curly braces UUID, and I will just paste my user ID over here. But one more thing, as soon as I hit send, I should get error. Okay, so yeah, I'm getting error 401 unauthorized. Likewise, as we have seen our previous video, for getting or for assigning the books to that user, we have to pass the authorization token of that user to this request. Okay, so likewise we have to pass one authorization token for this get method as well. Okay, so we will quickly generate one authorization token for the user, for this user. Okay, so I will go again, I will go here, and for generating the authorization token, this is the URL, and inside the body raw we have to pass the username and password for that user, and inside the headers nothing we have to pass, and if I just hit send, it should give me the token for that user, right? So I will go in, come here inside the raw, and I will just copy this token from here for that user. Okay, and I will get back to my get method call. Okay, and now how to pass this authorization token, as we have seen in our previous video also, we will just go inside headers, and we will click here key, and key is authorization, and the value is BEARER, barrier, one space, and then your authorization token. Okay, so this is how you can pass the header parameters of authorization with the request that you are trying to fetch, and then after that, now if I hit send, I should get the user. Okay, you can see as soon as I give the authorization token for that user, I can easily fetch the entire details of that user. Also, it contains the user ID, username, and any book that we have assigned to that user. Since this is a new user, I haven't assigned any books to that user, so the blue books array is empty. It doesn't contain any ISBN object, JSON object inside that. Okay. So now this is the one way by which you can pass the path parameters to the URL, and one more way by which you can pass the path parameters is using the post. This second method is pretty good. You see, now you have to pass the user ID, right? So instead of passing that hard-coded user ID over here, I will just come into my params, which is the now I can see only the query parameters, right? And but as soon as I get into my URL, and I write colon user ID, you can see path variables are getting created inside my params. Okay, and the key that they will be giving is user ID. Whatever you write after that colon over here is considered as a key, and its value should be the uh, user ID that we are getting from here. We will pass that user ID over here, and what it does is it's just shortened your URL, right? So you are in a previous request, URL gets so big, and it's very hectic to understand what is going on, what is this entire string. So instead of doing that, you can use this amazing feature of the Postman, that's path variables, by using just colon and giving the key value pairs. Okay, so similarly as we have done over here, we need to pass the authorization. Okay, so I will just copy this authorization token, and I will just pass that similar kind of authorization over here, since the user is same as we have passed in a previous request. And now if I hit and send, you can see the same object I am getting, what I get over here. So these are the two ways by which you can fetch a user, or you can fetch a user from using the path parameters in Postman. Okay, one is the Postman way, like we have seen the query parameters. Likewise, we pass the path parameters as well by using the colon, and then the key that you have set. Whatever I write, it should get converted as a key or interpreted as a key. And second way is the traditional way, or the straightforward way. We just come here and paste the user ID inside the URL. So I hope you got the both the ways, and if you have any problem, do post your comments in the comment section, and I hope you're liking this series of Postman. Okay, so thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. So in our previous video we have saw about the path parameters in Postman, and now in this video we'll be seeing how you can generate the code snippets for the various programming languages for your API call that you have made in the Postman, right? So let me go ahead into my Postman, and I will quickly click on the new request, which is on untitled request, and I will just paste the URL that will get from here. I will just get the URL from here. This is and by the way, this is our regress API, which is dummy API that we have used in our previous video itself. If you haven't watched the previous video, please go and check out the previous videos of this tutorial series first, and then come here and watch, because you don't get anything if you directly watch this video. Okay, so I will just paste the endpoint over here, and after that I will just write the question mark, and I want to fetch the page number 2. Okay, and since it is a get request, I don't have to pass any other parameters instead of the page, which is 2. And if I hit send, yeah, it is success 200. Okay, okay, and everything works fine. I'm getting the users which are there in the second page, like user, like right from the user numbers ID 7 till the user 12. Okay, so these are the users that are there in the page 2. Okay, so these works we are doing inside the Postman. We are trying to testing our API. Okay, so same kind of thing you can do in various programming languages, and you can, the Postman has the feature to generate the code snippets required for your this API call to get run inside that language. Okay, so what you need to do, when you have done with this API call, you just need to come here and click on this code section, code button. If you click on this code button, let me just give you more space to this so that you can understand clearly. And if you just come over here, you can see a bunch of languages are supported over here, right from the C sharp to the Swift, PHP, R, Ruby, Shell, Node.js, JavaScript is there, Java is there, and CURL is also there, Dart is also there. You can generate any code in any programming language. Like if I say, okay, if I want to generate the code for this API call in the Java with the OK HTTP this class. Okay, so OK HTTP client. Okay, so it will automatically give me, generate the code, so that I can just copy this code, and if I go inside my IntelliJ and I paste that entire code inside my main method, I just need to import these required classes. Like here you can see this class is not imported at. If I just import all these classes and run this code, the output that I will be getting is a similar kind of output that I'm getting over here as well. Okay, similarly, if you just go here and say I just want the code for this API call in Node.js native. Okay, right here you can see all the code you will get. You just need to copy and use that code inside your project, right? And a Node.js request code is also there. You can generate any code in any of the programming language you have seen over here. By the way, Python support is also there. You can generate this entire request code in Python using the HTTP library of the Python. Okay, and after that, I will show you one example using CURL. If you just click on the CURL, you will get this little code. You just click on the copy, and after clicking on copy, now if there are two ways to open the import section. Okay, one is the shortcut, that is Control O. If you press Control O on your keyboard, you will get this import bar or import tab over here. And if you don't want to get the shortcut, then you can just go click on this three dots, file, and then come to the import. Similar, either way you click Control O or just go to the file and go there. And what is saying is paste your CURL, raw text or URL. You can paste any one of this. We have our CURL. You just need to paste it over here. And as soon as I paste Control V, the new tab will get open, which is as similar to the page that tab you are getting over here, and our request will automatically get fetched. All the query parameters are also getting fetched. I just need to hit the send button, and I will get the same output that I am getting over here as well. Okay, so this is the CURL part. You can use any of these programming language. You just need to click on that, and Postman will automatically give you the code for that programming language for that request that you have made inside the Postman. Okay, so this is how you can generate the code for various programming language and use them in your project. Okay, so thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. So in our previous video, we have seen how we can generate the code for the various programming languages or for the request that we have done in the Postman. Okay, so now for this video, we will be seeing how we can integrate the Swagger API into our Postman and use that API easily and seamlessly within just few clicks, and you are done. You are integrating the whole Swagger API into the Postman. Okay, so the API that we are going to use for this video is the Swagger Pet Store API. Okay, so the base URL they have given over here. You can see, and if you want to get over this page, just head over to the browser and write petstore.swagger.io, and then you can get to this landing page of the Pet Store API. Okay, so we will be integrating this Swagger API into our Postman, and we'll see how we can integrate and run the different methods that this API offering us. Okay, so there are put, post, get, delete, all these methods this API gives us, and various sections are also there, like pet section, store section, user section. We'll see how we can use these API methods and how we can call this within just few clicks. Okay, now to integrate this, you have to get here and just select this text and copy this. Okay, so this is the URL for this API. Just come here and copy this. Okay, so I will be showing you two methods how you can integrate this Swagger Pet Store API into the Postman. Okay, so we'll see the first method now. You just copy this. Okay, after copying this, come over, head over to this Postman dashboard, and over here again click Control O to get your import tab, or click on this three dots, file, and then import. Okay, and now just paste your URL over here. The Postman will automatically detects that it is a URL and give you a prompt, choose how to import your API. Okay, so I will be using the Postman collection itself. I will not go with the open API 2.0. We click on the Postman collection and I will hit import. As soon as I will hit import, it will start importing the API into my Postman, and it will create one collection. If you can see, Swagger Pet Store collection, and inside that it will get me the pet store user, the same way that they have given over here, pet store and user. The same way I have imported all those methods, all those put, post, get methods. Here see store, inside store, order is there, order ID is there. Like all these methods are I have imported in just one click. Like in our previous video, we have seen how we come here, how we see how the documentation we have seen, how we have copied this, we have pasted over there. But all this hectic part I have done with just one URL and I have integrated this Swagger Pet Store API into our Postman. Okay, so this is the one way you can do. The another way I will be telling you now. Just let me delete this first. Okay, so collection deleted. Now one more way you can achieve this integration is just copy this and just head over to a new tab and just paste this over here. After pasting this, once you paste, okay, so this is my one Chrome extension by which I can get this pretty beautiful structured way of the entire JSON object. I can get the tree object as well. If I just click here and Control A and Control C, I will copy all this entire JSON object JSON document. I will just go here and again I click Control O or Command O on for Command O for Mac, and if I click here, you can ensure back online. Okay, now I am online. Why I don't know why it's getting error. Okay, so once I click paste, as soon as I click all paste entire document or inside that tab, it will automatically detect that it is a Swagger Pet Store API, and it will give me option to import that. Okay, so same way I have imported entire that API over here, and I have imported all those methods, put, post, get, delete, all those methods over here itself. Okay, now we will see one method, we will see and run one method inside of Postman now. Okay, so first of all, I will go here into my Swagger Pet Store API, and I will see how we can create a new pet. Okay, so there is a post method that says add a new pet to the store. Okay, so slash pet is the endpoint. Okay, so I will go here, and inside pet there is an post method similarly as we have seen in the browser. I will click on that, and you can see the beauty of importing the or integrating the Swagger API right in the Postman is you will get all the URL in a very pretty formatted way. You just need to replace this base URL with the URL that they have given to you over here. Over here you can see base URL they have given petstore.swagger.io.v2. Okay, just copy this. And one more thing, one more good feature of Postman is if you hover over this base URL, you can see it is Postman is also detecting or giving you the entire base URL over here also. You can just click on this copy and paste it. I have pasted from the browser. I will just go ahead and select this, and instead of saying base URL, I will just paste that base URL over here. Okay, so now one thing I have to do is since it is a post method, it should accept one JSON object. Then if I go here, and one more thing, the entire post object that it is going to accept is also pretty formatted in this section. You can see that is the beauty of importing the or integrating the Swagger APIs into your Postman collection. Okay, you will get all this in the pretty formatted manner. And if you just go here, and here also you can see they have given you one dummy sample, this one section that they have told you to pass the JSON object like in this manner. Then the same manner we have seen over here itself. Okay, so just go ahead and change these parameters. So instead of changing all these parameters, what I will be doing is just copying this entire and just Control A and Control V over here. Okay, and as soon as I hit send, okay, method not allowed. Okay, we have seen, just yeah, we will stick with the older version itself. If I hit send, okay, wait, I have to pass the entire URL, I guess. That's why it is not working. Let me just copy and let me just paste it over here itself. So swagger.io. Okay, swagger.io/v2/pet. Okay, now if I hit send, unknown, something bad happened, server error is there. Okay, let me just copy this my document. Now I can try and paste it over here, and if I hit send, yeah, now you can see I have get this JSON object from here and paste it over here, and it has created one pet for me with the ID this long. Okay, so I will just copy this ID because I need that ID later. Okay, now since we have created one pet, now we can get that pet by its ID. There is one get method that you can see over here, find pet by its ID. I will just click over here. Okay, and now again the entire URL is pretty formatted in the Postman itself. I will just go ahead and get my base URL from here, from the last request that we have made, and I will just paste that my base URL over here. Okay, so they have also given the parameters over here, path parameters. Okay, we have seen path parameters in our previous video. If you haven't watched that video, go ahead and watch that video. Now instead of the pet ID, I have to pass that ID over here. Okay, so I will just paste that ID over here. Let me just go ahead and get that ID first. Let me just copy this, and I have to paste this entire ID over here. Okay, as soon as I paste the ID and hit send, you can see the entire pet details that I am getting over here by the ID itself, and the same pet object I have received as a input from here as well when I'm trying to create that pet. Okay, so this is how you can integrate the Swagger APIs. One I have shown you pet store API, and one more API that we have used is bookstore API. Go ahead and try to import this or integrate this bookstore API in the Swagger in your Postman. And I hope you like this series. Thank you for watching this video. So today in this video we'll be learning how you can API automate how you can automate your API in Postman. Okay, so like I will give you an example. Like suppose you have one collection inside which there are 4 to 5 API methods that you have the API that you have called, and whether it should be get or post, and there are some certain criteria that you have mentioned that if this is the get method, the response code should be 200, and the response time should be this, and the body of the response size should be this limited. Okay, so all these test cases that you write there, and you have to test those APIs core methods over there. So we will see one example how you can automate the API testing in the Postman. Okay, so I will go inside my Postman. Okay, so I will just click on the plus sign. It will give me the untitled request first. Okay, and I'll be using the regress API that we have used in our previous video also, and I will just copy that URL over here, and I am trying to fetch the page number 1. Okay, and since it is a get method, we are fetching the user details, right? So the page should be value should be 1, and once I hit send, it should give me the entire page where the player IDs of person starting from 1 to 6 are stored inside this page, because per page contain 6 users. Okay, and the size is 1.7 KB, and the time it takes to get the response is 138 ms, and the status is also 200. Okay, so everything is working fine. Okay, so this is our API that we are going to use to automate API testing. All right, so to test your API, this method, you just can see here a test tab is there. You just click on here, click on this tab, and once you click on this tab, let me just get this. Okay, now here you can see snippets. Under snippet section, there are a bunch of method buttons are there, like get an environment variable, get a global variable, get a variable. So you can just click on those one of those methods or the buttons, and the snippets for testing it will get automatically import in your test tab. Okay, so this is how you can import. What I'll be checking is if my response time is less than 200 ms. This is one I required, and I'll be checking whether the status code is 200 is not, and I will be checking whether a response body is equals to a string. Okay, so I will be checking this one as also. Okay, status code name has string. Okay, and anything I don't want, I'll be doing this one itself. Okay, so let me just first save this my request inside a new collection. Let me just create a new collection over here, and I will call it as okay, wait, I have to get back to my root folder, and I will create a new collection. I'll let me call it as automate API. Okay, I will just create, and once I create, I will save this get method over there. And after saving my get method, let me just go inside my test, and I will explain you what I am doing over here. Okay, so I am testing. Once I test this API, I'm checking for these three conditions: whether my response time is less than 200 ms. If that is the case, yeah, so then this condition should pass, and I'm checking my status code should be 200. If that is the case, this condition also get passed, and I'm checking whether the body that I'm getting, or the response that I'm getting from the user, this is the response that I'm getting, it contains a string that I passed from here. Okay, if that is the case, this condition will also get passed, and if all the three conditions get passed, my this method will treated as passed. Okay, or if any one of this gets failed, my this get method will be treated as failed in the API automation testing. Okay, so first let me just give all the green signals. Okay, all three condition I'm doing it positive. Okay, so what I'm checking is response time is less than 200. I will get here and check the response time, as I'm getting 138 ms, so it is less than 200 ms, so it should get a pass. And also I'm checking the status code is 200. Yeah, the status code is also 200. This will also get passed. And I'm checking whether the body contains the string. Okay, so let me just pass one string. I will just pass the username of the first name of this user. Okay, I will copy, and I will just pass this name over here, and it will check whether the document that I received is contains this string or not. So yeah, it contains this string. All three should get passed, and everything should work fine. I will save my this, and I will just hit send again. Okay, so as soon as I hit send, you should see test results are also came here, and the body is correct. So okay, expected response body is equal to George but got. Okay, so it is giving me the entire page itself. I think I have said the wrong condition there. The condition should be, let me just check what should be the condition. Okay, so instead of checking for the this body, I can check for the code name has a string. Okay, so I will check whether my code name has a string, and the string should be okay. Since it is a get request, my return status code will be 200, which represents okay. So if that is the case, it should also get passed. I will just save my request and just send it again. Yeah, now you can see all three get passed because my response time is under 200 ms. My response status code is also 200, and status code name has also string, which is okay. All three get passed, and okay, so this is how we can provide the tests for these methods. So let me just again create one more API call, which is same, but this time I will fetch the page number 2. Let me just fetch number 2, and I will just send this request, and I will go into the test, and I will just copy all these test cases from here itself and just paste it over here. But this time my response time is 127 ms. So instead of that, I will check whether my response time is below 100. Since it is not below 100, it should give me the false. So this test case should be should fail, and I will also update the string as it is not less than 100, and rest I can keep it as it is. Okay, just let me uh, this one also change it, like created. So as we know, created is for 201 when we create the post method, and I will just save it inside the automate API itself. Let me save it. Yeah, so you can see inside my collection automate API there are two requests that is been saved, and all these requests have their own tests there itself, right? Okay, so what you can do is just click on your collection, click on these three dots, and over here you can see. Okay, wait, once you click on your automate API, that new tab should be open, and click on the runs, and you can see run collection button is there. Select those methods that you want to run manually, and iteration should be 1, delay should be 0, and run the automate API. Click on this, and you can see after running this, since I have only two method calls, it does quickly, and I can see my 5 test cases that been passed, and one got failed. That has intentionally I have failed them because the string should be okay, and I have given that it should be created. Okay, so that one is got failed. So this is how you can create those methods and create the tests for them, and you can run the entire collection over from here, and you can see the previous history of the collection that you have run is also here, and you can click on them and check the whatever test cases got failed and whatever test cases got passed over here itself. Okay, so this is how you can automate the API testing in Postman. So in our previous video, we have look how we can automate the API testing in Postman, and now in this video we will be seeing how what is the Postman environment, and we create one Postman environment and we'll test it out. Okay, so let's understand first what is environment in Postman. An environment is a set of variables that you can use in your Postman requests. Okay, so there are some set of variables that you can assign the value, and you can use that environment, you use them as an environment to your request that you are creating. Okay, so you can use environments to group related set of values together and manage access to shared Postman data if you are working as a part of team. So you can share your environment also with your other teammates if you are working in a team, and your team and you are using Postman, and then you can share that environment as well. Okay, so let me get into my Postman. I will create one and we will use our bookstore API one get method, and we will also use one deck of cards APIs get methods that we have used in our previous video itself. Okay, so these are the two methods that we will be using and for this video. Okay, one is deck of cards and one is bookstore API. Okay, so this deck of cards API requires one query params, which is deck count, which is value is set to 7, and bookstore API doesn't require anything. Let me just first click on send and check whether it's working fine. Yep, status code is 200 and it's working fine. And let me check this one also. Yes, this one also is working fine. Okay, so now we will go ahead and create environment for those two APIs. Okay, so let me get into my environments tab. You can see here, and I will click on the create environment tab. It will create a new environment, and it is saying me to name this environment. I will name this as deck of uh, deck of cards env represents environment, deck of cards environment. Okay, why it is not getting rename? Deck of cards env. Yeah, now it's getting renamed. Okay, so what the environment does is, look at here, I will tell you one by example. Like you can see, since we are passing this base URL here, deckofcardsapi.com. Okay, so this is our base URL. So what we can do is we can get this base URL and assign the, can we create one environment variable as a base URL over here. I will just write base URL, okay, and I will just assign the value it as this one itself. And let me just, since this is also a HTTP request, this is HTTPS, so let me just get my base URL from here. Okay, I will copy that, and I will initial value I set it at deckofcardsapi.com, and current value is also deckofcardsapi.com. And there is one query parameter required for this, which is the deck count. So I will create one more variable as count, and I will assign the value as 7 to 8, and similarly 7 to 8 value here as well. Okay, and I will just here come here and I will call, and now if you want to fetch that value, you have to use double curly braces, and then I will to write count and close it. And after here also, you if you want to create that, you just come here and you will write double curly braces, BASC base URL base URL, and just close that double curly braces. Okay, so this is how you can fetch these values for over here by using the environment. So let me just create one more environment for my bookstore API. I will get into my environments tab and click on the plus and name the environment as, let me call it as bookstore env. Okay, and here also I will be using a base URL. Okay, base URL, and I will get that base URL from here itself, bookstore.demoqa.com. I will copy that and I will paste it over here itself. Okay, and since it doesn't require any query parameter, I will not pass that query parameter from here, and I will just get here and I will write base URL and double curly braces. Okay, so now you can see this is a red and unresolved variable it's saying, and I'm getting error wherever I write this. Why is it so? Because I have created these methods, but I have not assigned any variables to environment to them. Let me just save this environment. And now since I have not assigned any environment to them, you have to assign this environment, right? So you can do it in two ways. You just come here inside your environment tab, and you can click on this plus button or the right button. You can set as active, or what you can do is you can come here into environment tab, and since it is a deck of card, I will choose the deck of cards environment, and from here I will choose as bookstore environment. Okay, for this one. Okay, okay, now if I hover over here, now you can see green is there. Our error is resolved, no more errors. And now if I hit send, I should get the same output that I'm getting earlier. Okay, status code is 200, everything is working fine, and I'll get the similar kind of response that I get earlier without adding the base URL. Okay, now if I come here and if I add the deck of cards environment as set it as active, and then in that case when I hit send, I should get the same. Okay, I'm getting the same response that I'm getting earlier by writing the hard coded values over there. Okay, so status code is also 200. Okay, everything is working fine. So this is how you can create environment for various APIs that you have used in the Postman, and you can create the environments for them, and you can share these environments with your team also. You can manage the roles of the various team members, how they are managing view only mode, right? They can write it in there also. They can, if you want your own copy, then you can fork also this API, this environment, and when you're done with this environment, you can delete this environment as well. So this is how you can create and manage an environment in Postman. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. So in this video we will be learning Postman monitors. So what is the monitor in Postman, how we can create a monitor, and we'll understand, we'll see one collection and we'll create a monitor on top of it. Okay, So before that, we have to understand what is monitor exactly in Postman. Okay, so Postman monitors give you a continuous visibility into the health and performance of your APIs. Collection based monitors enables you to run API test scripts, chain together multiple requests and validate the critical API flows. Okay, so it is nothing but a automation, but it like suppose if you have one collection inside which you have 5 to 6 methods over there. Let me just get into my Postman. Like here you can see there are many get and post methods requests that I have done here inside the bookstore API, and I wanted to keep an eye on this get and post methods request, and I want to check periodically whether my API is working fine and what is the performance and status of my API. Then in that case I can create one monitor, and which and that monitor will look into the API and run a periodical test and give me the report of that test there itself in the Postman. Okay, so we will go ahead and create a monitor for this book of store API. So before that, let me just run all these tests over there, all these API calls over here, and let me just create tests for them. So I will be not doing a much amount of tests over here, but what I will be doing is I will be checking if the response time is greater below 1000, because that is gonna be okay. It will give me a very good response time as well. I will just save this. I will cut down here and I will just run this one as well. User exists. Okay, and my response time is also inside this 100,000. Okay, just control C, and I just copy this from here, and let me just say it as 1000, whether it is below 1000. Okay, let me just copy this because I needed this for entire all these. Let me just run this. User not authorized, it's fine, but save this test for this method as well. Just go here and paste this one as well. I will go here as well and just paste it. Just save. Let me go here, save this. Okay, just paste here, just save this and just paste here and just save this, and just last one, paste here and save this. Okay, so I have pasted all the tests for this bookstore API. Now we will go ahead and create one monitor for this collection. Okay, so if on the left hand side you have seen one tab called monitor, just click on that and you will see a monitor lets you run a collection periodically to check for its performance and the response. Okay, so let me just create a monitor. I will name it as my bookstore monitor. Select a collection. I will select collection bookstore API. Okay, so it should be current. There is no environment for my collection. Okay, data file is not there, and I want my. Okay, so minute timer I can't apply because I'm on a free plan. So I can select the weekly timer, and every day I want my test, and I don't want my test result on the 12 a.m. Okay, so what I can do is I can get all the results in 10 a.m. I guess. Okay, and one more thing, you can automatically select the region, and if you want you can manually also select the region, but it is not available on the free plan. You have to upgrade your plan. Then in that case you can select the region from like if your API users are from America and other than that countries, then in that case you can select those region and test your or run your monitor. Okay, I want my emails, all my receive emails on this mail. This is a dummy mail. Okay, and just notification 3. Okay, SSL validation, and I will just click on create the monitor. Okay, once I create the monitor gets created, and here you can see run button I get. I will click on the run, and you can see the monitor is running over here. Okay, so this monitor gets run pretty quick because there are no such a complex and not more number of API methods are there. That's why the monitor gets run quickly, and the response time is also, you can see, 1.24 seconds. Failed percentage 0. I can see the report by clicking over here, and after that I can, if I scroll down, I can see how many past requests are there, how many failed requests are there. So there are no failed requests because purposefully I have created those tests so that all the tests get passed over here, and you can see all tests gets passed. Okay, so this is how you can run your if I click on run again, you can see it's running again. Now you can see. Now one more thing, at the first run, if you are getting the response time as 1.24, and now the second run you are getting the response time as 1.29. If I run again, you can see my response time again changes. So this gives you insight that there is something wrong or something there with your response time of API. So you can also debug and those errors and try to resolve that. Since I am using the dummy APIs, so I can get this fluctuation in the response time. But if you are using your own created API, then in that case you can solve that error as well. Okay, so this is how you can create a monitor and run that monitor on a periodical basis so that you can get the status of the health report of your API quick and easily. So thank you for watching this video, and one more thing guys, this is the last video of the Postman tutorial series. I hope you like this series. If you like, then do post your comments like you have liked this series, and I will see you with the new technology, with the new tech stack series. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. Bye bye.